Good evening. So, our topic today is business ecosystems. So that's our hot, from our perspective, really increasingly important topic that we see in the market. My name is Alex Rösch. So I would call myself as kind of a designer, creator for successful business ecosystems. So it's about growth, it's about new business models, and you all know business models, but it's how to develop them differently. I'm leading PwC, the Ecosystem Expert Hub, and before that I was also working in large corporates, designing business models, digital transformation, and together with me is Julian.
Yeah, welcome to this last session before the show. Hopefully we'll also make a little bit of show now. My name is Julian. I'm a professor of strategic management in Berlin, and I'm also the cooperation partner of PwC, because we both together drink our own champagne. So first of all, I created tools for managing business ecosystems and consulted PwC by themselves how to become an ecosystem player as a consultancy, and then we said, let's put our assets and competences together and do that also for the external world, and we will give you a little bit of snapshot how we do so.
So first of all, ecosystem, what's it all about? From our perspective, it's kind of an evolution. So I think you all know the classical product business, you know the Model T story of standardization, further evolving to services. And then in the 2000 years, we have, let's say, the whole platform economy, with the Airbnb, the eBays, and the Ubers of this world, which is, let's say, a basis, but we think the further evolution, the next step after the platform is the ecosystem. And that's, let's say, taking as a basis the platform with, let's say, the mechanical structure of new business, for growth that is beyond linear growth options, that kind of has different opportunities for market mechanisms, but also we think that for a successful ecosystem, there are some further ingredients that are important to make them really sustainable, valuable. So that's not only just a platform. We see a lot of platforms really fail. The successful platforms, but how many are really failing, we're not aware of. And therefore, the question is how to get an ecosystem set up and let's say, have it in a really sustainable manner. So what's it all about? Why is it necessary to have an ecosystem view, and what are key, let's say, ingredients? So first of all, we think that as part of a classical innovation process, they lack really in completeness if you just look at the classical value chain, if you just look at your suppliers and your direct customers. So if you're B2B, it's essential also if you're purely in B2B products to think from the end customer, from the end client. So it's crucial. And therefore, we think to put that into the business modeling and markets step is a crucial point. Secondly, we observe of our clients that they really think in their industries. So they think in financial services, in manufacturing, in retail. But in order to develop growth, new scenarios, it's crucial to think ahead of that, to think really from a perspective that puts rather life areas, we see that in a moment, at the center of our thinking. So what means, how does the service or product really reach the end client? Not, let's say, your immediate B2B customer. So that's, let's say, a crucial point. Thirdly, the role of partnerships. Sure, you all have partnerships, but we see so many of them are not really successful. So you just have it kind of as a marketing and some stuff, but really have a win-win effect for both parties. To have really success and well on both sides, it's pretty rare. So what's the governance? What's the mechanisms to set these up to work properly for a win-win? That's, let's say, a third crucial point. Fourthly, platform models. As said before, let's take the industrial IoT area. A lot of players invested millions, billions in setting this up. But now we see, well, the virtualization that lacks actually. So where are the clients that really benefit from that? All let's say, the shop floor related companies are really lacking in let's say, in an acceptance to invest money in that for just a platform, because of they're fearing that they just get kind of a lock-in also from a negative perspective. So that has to be set up. Platforms are very difficult to set up, but there's a structure to get this done. And finally, let's say the end customer view, as mentioned before, for login. And login, from a positive perspective, means convenience. So some aspects really to make it easy to make integrated offerings, meaning combining products and services to a package. So we see it in the energy area, where it's not just selling a PV or not just selling a heat pump product. It's all about a journey, combining with storage, combining with a wall box, with all the other players outside of the energy business are entering the market. So finding the right package is also key, and therefore has to be set up. In order to do so, we think there's a method to get this elaborated and structured, which Julian will explain.
True. Everything what Alex said is not really simple. And so the first thing is to, first of all, structure the world with this new perspective, with this new logic, and then to define your positioning, to define your future sweet spots with this ecosystem game where you are not alone, where you can leverage also the power of the many, the power of others. And that's why you need a framework. That's obviously with which a professor comes up. But behind that, there's 5 years of research where we have worked together with more than 1,000 practitioners and have asked them what is changing in this ecosystem game. And the main issue what is changing is that we have this paradigm shift, which Alex mentioned, from this segregated B2B and B2C logic into ecosystem to human, how we call it, which first of all puts the human being in the center of everything and around that you're offering. And secondly, to think in different roles, which players within new roles also, which players have in the market with an ecosystem perspective. You can see that here with an example. First of all, once again, even if you're a B2B company, you have to think in human needs. And currently we are working, for instance, together with automotive OEMs, but also with suppliers. And the suppliers, they are recognizing that the automotive players are going towards or developing towards experiences and towards new services and towards other parts of life, the human being, which they would like to cover, for instance, health and others. And that means also that the suppliers have to take this human needs and customer perspective to understand that, to be ready for this transformation everybody in the mobility and automotive industry is just about to do. And that's why, once again, human being in the center. Then we have 10 life areas as a structuring tool, which are always the same, so that you can compare also companies, portfolios, and everything, which start with mobility, health, recreation, work, and so on and so forth. I don't go into the detail of each of them, but they actually help you to structure the world and to structure your portfolio from a human-centric perspective. And now, maybe the real new thing is the roles which are out there in the ecosystem, and we have 3 roles. We have the orchestrator. I mean, you know all the big orchestrating ecosystem companies from the tech players and also from the startup side, but here we have the example of an energy case in Germany. So the Germans will know that Tamondo is a platform for delivering service or for connecting craftsmen and also producers of heating systems together with the end consumer as a platform. Then we have the realizer, that are all companies still with contact to the end consumer, still with contact to the human being. Here in that context, that are, for instance, telecommunication companies or energy companies, but you can have there in the mobility context, for instance, also public transport companies or OEMs like Volkswagen, Audi, Mercedes, and others. And then you have the enablers in the outer ring, which are all B2B players. And with this logic, now you can start analyzing portfolios, start wargaming, start applying strategies, start thinking about which are the potential use cases as the first derivation, and then of course to drill that down more into detail. So, having said that, one example when we look at corporate strategy, I know we are here more with corporate innovation, but what we are recognizing is that strategy, innovation, and marketing / product management are more and more integrated. Not that they are one unit, but that they have to collaborate internally together to create this user experience from an end-to-end perspective. So that's why what you see here on the left side are typical formats of portfolios of companies you know or you don't know within this ecosystem strategy map. Of course, Amazon is kind of, everything is orange here, it's kind of the concierge of our life, is doing everything and trying, of course, to get in all business models which are out there. It's just a question of time and the question of competition, who lets them in or keeps them out. Then we have other companies like Covestro, pure B2B player, but still, of course, with like their customers which are closer to the human and having the job to be done to think about in which life areas can we actually enable user experiences even if we don't have contact with the end consumer, with the human. We have Ping An, also very famous ecosystem player in China, starting from financial services or insurance, and then expanding also into other areas, especially in healthcare with Ping An Good Doctor, which is probably the most interesting healthcare ecosystem we have here all over the world. So for all healthcare companies, that's interesting. And last but not least, we have here Ferrari, maybe a hidden champion on this slide, but Ferrari is not just producing high-performance cars, but it's also creating user experience by events, by organizing Ferrari fans and communities, bringing them together, and also cooperating with other luxury brands to bring that luxury experience also into other life areas. So, having said that, on the right side, I don't go too much into the detail, but what you can also do is then, of course, to think about, when the left side is kind of a status quo observation, you can start thinking about what to do, either to focus on specific life areas or to expand, to move into other ones with partners, or to integrate from backward to forward, like in that case Rösch did it in the diabetes care sector. And of course you can also have a role across every life area, like a software company, also like an energy company, where you actually contribute to people's life in each life area.
So the question is, yeah, what's it all about? So that's theory. And we're taking this one and about approximately 20 other tools, let's say, also for our practical projects. So first use case, very simple, we use that strategy map as kind of a wargaming exercise. So you can imagine an example. You can start with an automotive OEM, or with your existing business, which is the light red one, mobility. So you sell cars, B2B and B2C. So that's the starting point. Then you can think further, okay, which is happening today. What about entering the market of charging stations, of wall boxes, etc. So it's still mobility, but in the home turf, but kind of a different business. You can think of further car sharing offerings, which I all know as value-added services in that area. And then one step ahead, the question is, can an automotive OEM also enter completely different other life areas? So, for example, and going into the energy area, like here the storage example. I think maybe you all know the Tesla example, which where you have an automotive OEM, which is still providing their BEV cars in the wall box, but now also offering their storage. They're offering the PV. They're offering even a energy tariff in cooperation with Optimus Energy. So it's kind of an integrated package from a provider that has actually no clue of the energy business. But they're leveraging customer access. They're leveraging their access to automotive interested people to enter into a completely different new market. And that pattern is something that we use as part of our methodology here. You can think further in entertainment services, in connectivity, and even, which is the number C, developing really into also the orchestrator role, where an automotive OEM could also, let's say, go into the operation system for car, go into, let's say, even of map services. So building something, but then reselling it for other OEMs, and then entering, let's say, the platform idea. So that's one example.
And that even goes further. For instance, like 5 weeks ago, I was invited by Audi in Bits and Pretzels conference, kind of a similar conference like here, but a little bit bigger in Munich, and they announced their ecosystem, which is called Experience Fair, and one of the topics is also health. So maybe you think they are crazy, but still these companies are thinking into user experiences end-to-end, from EBIT to customer lifetime value, to bring value out of the car also into some parts of the life of the customers. And not only the OEMs in mobility are doing that, also many other customers, many other companies. And that's why it's so important then to, first of all, identify the use cases. That is what Alex just mentioned with the wargaming exercise, but also to drill them down. And of course here, this is a little bit pixeled, this chart, but there, of course, you also need a process, a structure to do so. And so we use this so-called ecosystem design grid with 6 steps to go from needs, which we learned like a couple of slides before. It's the most important starting point, until the offering, the assets, the partnering, the data as key elements to think about how could a particular singular ecosystem business model look like. And then also to start the discussions and to use this step by step and think about what is our role, who could be the partners, and what can we do there. And this is just one example where we did that with the sustainable water treatment solutions. Of course, it's too small, but you see that this canvas gets very big and therefore very concrete, so that really you can challenge the hypothesis and can think about, does it really work or not?
And finally, also, you can just take it as a portfolio game. So both for thinking of what are business fields beyond your core business to tap into. Because mostly companies, you're engineering-related companies, you're so much expert in your core. But as soon as you're just stepping one step left or right, it's very difficult really to have innovation ideas. And therefore, we use this exercise for a search field positioning for startups. So we challenged with the client together what are the relevant fields you want to tap into. In this case, it was a coffee company. So about the end user experience of coffee. It's just drinking a cup. It's also, let's say, all the story around where you drink it, what people you drink it, etc. And based on the search fields, we did a regular process of scouting, identifying, and then having, let's say, the right startups, the top, let's say, top 10 or 30 in this case, to be pitched further for stuff. So it's an alternative structure for scouting, for example.
And of course, you can combine it. You can combine, and therefore you see the innovation side here, startup screening, and the strategy side. And I think that's really important also to have the same language, the same perspective to the world. And that's one of our recommendations. But Alex, maybe you can continue.
So in a nutshell, how to design it successfully. So user centricity. It sounds stupid, but most often it's not done properly. You have to done really excessively, also if you're a B2B company, and search for lock-in effects. When building up platforms, it's beyond network effects. You see the dollar signs in your eyes, but the question is, it's so much effort to build the mechanics behind a successful platform. It's about integrated offering. It's about packaging the right solutions together, there's a lot of companies, again, that come from engineering, that come from purely a product, making a product even better, 1% better, 3% better. But they are lacking in getting the big picture and developing the product into a solution that's sensible, and that's really in an ecosystem and established and integrated. It's about cooperation, finding the mechanisms, and accepting that that your competitor could be your partner in a different story. So it's not just they and us, there could be cases where you have to work together in an ecosystem and be successful commonly and be competitive at the same time. Why not? So the ingredients, and also from a role perspective, is for all the innovation managers, really think of, let's say, an ideation approach and include, let's say, the ecosystem thinking, which allows the broad domain view. So it's also part of the book. It's having a structure to look left and right beyond your core business, and it's a hard work. So we know our clients that after the workshops they're just done, but it's so important that you have this exercise done and to act on eye level with the strategy department, because they maybe see you as fancy guys with new ideas, but most of them don't work. But it's important to establish also good products to a good business model and act on eye level in strategy. For the strategy department, on the other hand, I think it's crucial to think out of the box and to make them understand that ecosystems is a portfolio game, which is, I think, one of the key messages for us of today. It is a portfolio game. It's about the what, it's about the chips that you bet of the right opportunities, and to spend money on that. And it's so crucial. It's not about only planning or thinking of structures of the existing business. So they have to understand that. Thirdly, for venture builders, it's when creating business models. We all know that the business model canvas stuff, it's all important. But there are a couple of ingredients that are lacking in these typical methods that should be added, because the mechanisms of ecosystems in the future will be different. And therefore it's important to put in these perspective and make this business modeling really extended by these new functions. And finally, CVCs, venture capital units, when doing your research, when doing your portfolio game, in scouting, etc. Also the rules are different here. Rethink your criteria, you select the startup and select your new business. To conclude, so first of all, it was not about platforms, but of course not everybody can be a platform. So it could be also in place say, fine, I will never be a kind of an Amazon, but define your role as part of maybe a different platform company. And it's maybe more successful to have a proper setup as a participant of a platform rather than with a lot of energy and money creating your own one. And secondly, ecosystems, I think it's all about scale, of course. However, we see step by step also that are ecosystems which are even locally successful, like platforms for the Berlin market, etc. So ecosystems also work on a larger scale, on a specific region. It doesn't have to be globally. So that's also something to take into consideration.
So you see, we are very passionate about ecosystems, and we hope we have influenced you at least a little bit. I think we have 1 minute, maybe we have one question, if there's one. If there's no question, okay, that's a clear top-down message. Then we say thank you very much. Of course, you can discuss with us today at the dinner or at the PwC stand. If you like to have a book, I think we have a couple of books still left, and just ask us, and if not, good luck and a great evening together later. Thank you so much.